The Industrial Revolution began in the 18th century in Britain. It later was brought over to the United States. While many great things were birthed from the Industrial Revolution, such as the steam engine, the light bulb, and the cotton gin, it also was the cause of many poor working conditions for people. Factories were one of the main causes of poor labor conditions. In factories, especially ones in the textile industry, machines became a big problem. The spinning machines moved very fast, which made it difficult for workers to keep up with them. No uniforms were worn in these factories, causing loose clothing to get caught up in the machines. You may think that factory owners would see this happening and try to fix it, but factories were owned for profit, and providing uniforms for workers was just more unnecessary money being spent. It was too expensive to keep their factories in safe conditions for all. In 1787, the power loom was created. The employees who worked with the power loom were paid pretty decently at the time, but within the next 30 years, their jobs were completely taken over by machinery. Another hazardous aspect of the Industrial Revolution were the tenements that factory workers were living in. The tenements were large apartments with many workers to one small room. Tenements were very unsanitary and overcrowded. A huge factory development, known as the Westinghouse Machine Company, was organized in 1881. They were primarily devoted to the manufacturing of gas. They filmed a panorama of the inside of their factory in 1904. You can see, even in the later years of the Industrial Revolution, the poor organization of these factories. Child labor was also a huge problem during the Industrial Revolution. Over 50% of the workers in many British factories during the early 1800s were under the age of 14. In the United States, over 750,000 children under the age of 15 were employed during 1870. Children were forced to work in unsafe conditions. They many times were untrained, which led to many work-related injuries. Children were commonly hired because it was less expensive. They would often work for 10 to 20% of what adults would earn. Sometimes children would not be paid at all and just work for a place to stay or for food. Children were forced into employment because of the amount of people needed to work in factories and coal mines at the time. Wages were very small, and it was difficult to support a family. Children were sent to work to help provide for their families. In conclusion, the conditions laborers worked in were seen as inhumane. Long shifts with little to no breaks, unfair payment, and dangerous settings describe the way factory laborers worked each day and night in the Industrial Revolution.